All right. Today we're going to talk about what it's like actually running a mushroom farm. I promised this video a while ago and I thought I'd have time to make it, but it appears any free time I get is taken away, especially with the expansion. We are on a quick 70-pound delivery in my tiny little Toyota, so I have a minute to talk about it. I guess the best place to start would be my story. I was a firefighter paramedic for 10 years and a paramedic for 2 more. So I was in that field for 12 years. And I grew to hate it. It was my passion for a while, but I kind of fell out of love with it. And I started growing mushrooms as a hobby. So over time, the business grew. And as of February this year, I have left the fire department. And I am a full-time mushroom farmer now, and it feels weird to say that. And when people ask what I do for a living and I say mushroom farmer, it feels very, very odd. But that's what it is now. Starting out, when it was a hobby and I decided to grow for fun, it was the best. Those were the best times because you had a little failure. You read up a lot. There was no time frames, no deadlines, and you learned. And that's what I refer to as the honeymoon phase. You are obsessed with mushrooms. You love it. You can't stop thinking about it. You're just completely entranced by mycelium and the whole process of how mushrooms are grown. So over time, I started growing more and more mushrooms, right? You go from 1 presto to 2 prestos to 3 prestos, eventually maybe a barrel. But I started getting really good at it, and I started growing a lot of mushrooms, a lot of different varieties. It was going well. I started the business probably about 4 years ago, and that's when things got fairly serious. I was still a firefighter, so I actually paid my friends to do the majority of the work because I didn't rely on the income. So the business was very fun in those times. It was very, very fun, because I didn't care about the financial outcome as much. I wasn't relying on that money. But boy, has the game changed. When you become a full-time mushroom farmer and you start actually looking at numbers and profit loss margins and reports and all this stuff, it's pretty eye-opening and scary. Mushroom farming is way more difficult than I could have expected, and for the reasons I should have expected. Mushroom farming is repetitive tasks every week, the same tasks over and over, mostly cleaning, mostly making and inoculating blocks. And if you're not careful, it will creep into your life and take over, and it becomes all you do. There's no escape from it. And this is something I feel needs to be talked about more, because you'll see a lot of these channels on YouTube, mine included, that paint this rosy picture of what it's like. And when people start their own farms, and these days there's farms starting, it feels like every month in my immediate area in Tampa and St. Pete. Sorry about that, lost my train of thought for a second. When people start their own farms, they see the possible profit, right? They see, okay, it costs $5 or $4, maybe even $3 to create a block, and it will give me $30 to $60 worth of mushrooms. And that's all they see, right? They see, okay, if I make 100 blocks a month, I can make this much money. And then I could quit my job and I could work from home and live the dream. And it feels like that at first until you start taking out labor and material costs, cost of goods, right? When you start learning about the business, you realize the margins aren't all that great. They're okay, they're pretty good, especially with fresh mushrooms. But it requires you to be at farmers markets all the time, which will take up the entire day. I don't know if anyone has done markets, but by the time you pack up, get there, unload, sell, reload, unpack again when you're home, it's been a whole day. And you got to pay yourself and other people for that. You got to pay for bags, substrate materials. And look, I'm not saying it's all doom and gloom. Business can be good. The ups and downs are violent. And competition is always around. Some will even try to steal your account straight up. Here's an example of my situation. I don't do a lot of farmers markets. I'm really good at selling mushrooms at farmers markets, but I just don't have the staff or the ability, mostly because of my son, my 3-year-old. I have to watch him. I don't have the ability to sit in a market all the time and rake in that money, right? Assuming the market has a lot of foot traffic. So I prefer to deal with distributors or wholesale accounts with chefs and restaurants, right? Things will be going good. There's that honeymoon phase with restaurants too. They'll ask for 20 pounds a week. You'll be giving it to them. They'll be selling out, panic calling you, panic texting you for more mushrooms. And then 2 weeks after that, the honeymoon phase is over for them. The customers have had it already and things slow down. Now they only want a case, sometimes less, a case every other week. So it's really hard sometimes to gauge how much money you're going to make. It's very difficult sometimes, and coming from the fire service, and I got a typical paycheck like most people bi-weekly, so that's a whole new area and way of living that I haven't experienced before. Your money is more of something you view in monthly terms. And that's kind of the biggest takeaway I find with my experience with a mushroom farm is the mushrooms are the least of the issues, right? They pretty much grow. As long as you do what you're supposed to and you keep up on your studies and modern methods and you're in communication with other farmers and helping each other out, that stuff is easy. The cleaning is easy. The repetitive tasks, to me at least, are easy. They grind you down, and most people will quit after a while just from that. But those are easy. The hard part is just simply running a business. If someone doesn't have any business experience, like myself, it takes a while to get a feel for that and understand that world, that flow. If you don't know business, you don't know when you're failing. You don't know when you're succeeding. You don't know what move to make. And that's the hardest part of it all. And sorry if this video is a little scatterbrained. I'm kind of stopping it between deliveries and stoplights and all this stuff, and picking back up. But somewhere around the 200 pounds a week mark, the farm evolves and changes. And that seems to be, for me at least, a hard mark where, like, okay, I need an employee to help do all these repetitive tasks that are ever increasing so I could focus on the business. So let's hire people. So you'll go and hire people, and you warn them, you tell them, this isn't some Mary Poppins BS where you're going to walk into the grow room and there's going to be pink oysters and yellow oysters and lion's mane, and you got your umbrella and it's cool, you're singing. It's not always like that. In fact, that's like 1% of the job. The rest of it is pressure washing, cleaning the lab, lifting heavy bags, being outside in the heat, and it could be pretty miserable. So just when you think you have an employee to help you, they watch the most recent Paul Stamets documentary and they want a job, so they come and apply for it and they're all excited. Their honeymoon phase ends within the first week once they realize what the job actually is. The job is deliveries and cleaning, lifting heavy sacks, 50-pound sacks of pellets all the time and that kind of thing. Being out in the heat, sweating, dealing with bugs, yucky molds. And they see you in the lab doing all this other stuff that you're finally catching up to do, and they could get upset because it isn't what they thought it was, and they leave. So finding good help can be very difficult. So this isn't as easy as I had hoped. However, man, I love doing this shit way more than being in the fire department, at least the fire department I was in. It's stressful, it's difficult, but in a much, much different way. eustress, the good kind of stress. It's exciting for me, even in moments of where I hit speed bumps or I feel a sense of a slow week or failure in a moment's time. It's usually accompanied by an equally awesome success. And I feel mushroom farming may not be for everybody. A lot of people these days might feel it's for them and then try it and then hate it, and that's okay. But for the select individuals that really, really want to do this, and they can get past the menial tasks, the repetitive nature of it, and have some luck along the way, I feel this could be potentially a really good path to take for an individual. I don't think you're going to get rich off of it. I think you could make a decent living off of it. And in fact, that's the reason you see so many farms start to sell things like mentorships, me included. Mentorships, liquid culture, ready to fruit blocks, because that's the stuff that helps you at least make enough to begin saving money. I think if you're the type of person who's naturally frugal, you save your money, you don't spend a lot, you're not too materialistic, I think this is who that's for. Sprinkling some discipline and the will to learn and follow directions, I think this could be the perfect job for somebody like that. We are uprooting our entire life for this. We are selling our house and using that to fund our expansion that you saw in the other video. And we're going to live in an RV. You want something bad enough, you're going to do it. We're going to live in that RV temporarily, but who knows how long that'll be, right? So this is who that job is for. I don't think this is for just somebody looking to dump money into as a get-rich-quick scheme, because quite simply put, it's just not going to happen. Not quickly, at least. This is for someone who's in it for the long haul and is willing to deal with failures. And if you're that type of person, then a mushroom farm might be for you. Now, I know I probably, in my scattered brain nature right now, I probably haven't answered everything people have wanted. So feel free to leave comments and I will do my best to answer them. I usually do. And if you guys are interested in a Q&A, like a live video kind of thing, I'd be willing to do that if enough people wanted to take part in that. Let me know in the comments. I appreciate all of you. Keep an eye out for an official announcement on my mentorship. I'm actually calling it a boot camp. It's going to be a one-on-one, hands-on environment. Just me and the individual. I don't want to even allow two people in the class because I feel it would take away from the learning. At least I always wanted to have a boot camp that was truly one-on-one. You know, I don't want to leave my students with just employees while I go and, you know, take their money and go to the casino or something, you know. I want to actually teach people myself because I feel that's a strength of mine. It'll be 1 week. You will live the life and you will work with me every day, see all the processes, and eventually when I get a house, I'll even have lodging. You can stay in the same nice RV that I have out there already. Keep in touch, keep on shrooming, talk to you soon.